Hello. So as you probably know, Beyond Depth is a very difficult mod pack. In my first world, I must have died at least 50 times. But not long ago, a special version of the mod pack released, called Insanity Mode. This special version is very chaotic. Zombies can now break and place blocks, there are special mobs that can have hundreds of health, and each of your limbs can now be damaged. And when it gets too damaged, you get a debuff. There's also now heat and cold, so you could freeze and burn to death. And you also need to drink water to survive. And there's probably a lot more than I'm forgetting. All this combined makes the game nearly impossible. So, I'm gonna be playing it in hardcore. But it can't be that hard, right? It can't take that long to have a successful world where I just survive. Now let's see if I can survive for more than just a few days this time. I spawned in a savanna and immediately started gathering wood to make some basic tools. After I made some basic tools, I gathered a ton more wood because I would need a lot of it if I wanted to survive the night. After running around for a bit, I came across an abandoned campsite. I had a campfire, so I broke it to collect some coal, but there wasn't really anything else there. Not long after, I found a ship with a villager on it. The ship had a lot of string and fish, and one fishing rod, but nothing else. Near the ship, there was also some barrels floating on the water. They had a lot of good loot in them, like 2 diamonds, an iron sword, and almost a full set of armor. By now I had used up most of the day, so I started building my base to survive the night in. You're probably wondering why I have to build up so high. Well, if I build a base on the ground, here's what would happen. If I didn't build up high enough, this would happen. So yeah, that's why I have to build up so high. But now that I'm high enough up, I can just sit here and wait out the night. While waiting for the night to end, I was looking at what I could use my diamonds for, and saw that I could craft a claymore, so I did. On the morning of day 2, I immediately went exploring. and soon found what seemed to be a blacksmith's house. It had a ton of iron, coal, and even enough iron armor to make a full set. But while I was looting, I heard a zombie nearby, so I quickly left the house, but I took some fall damage in my hurry to get out, and now I have slowness. After exploring for a while longer, I came across a jungle village. The village had a ton of healing, which meant I could get rid of that annoying slowness effect. I also found a hunter's belt and a spore sack. But by now it was almost nighttime, so I had to head back to my base. When I got back to my base, I realized I could use one of the enchantments I had gotten from the blacksmith's house. It could be applied to a shield and would act like a totem of undying, saving me from death one time, but at the cost of the shield. On the morning of day 3, I headed back to the village to continue looting. In one of the chests, I found roller skates which would allow me to move really fast. Near the village, there was this tower which had an enchantment table in it. This would be very useful later on. After a bit more running around, I found this house that had a lot of food and some healing in it too. But now it is almost nighttime, so I have to go back to my base. That night, I'm able to craft a backpack, which will allow me to hold a lot more items. On the morning of day 4, I continue exploring and find another blacksmith's house. Near the blacksmith's house, I find a tower, but get quickly scared away by a ghost. I also found a waystone, meaning I could teleport to the jungle village because it also had a waystone. A bit past the waystone, I found a desert village, which had a lot of string and wool in the middle, the main ingredients in making healing items. But now it's turning night, so I have to make my way back to my base. With the loot I got from the blacksmith's house, I am able to upgrade my backpack to gold tier, giving it a lot more space. On the morning of day 5, I head back to the desert area, because there had been a large desert temple I had not gone to explore the previous day. Yeah, no. I don't know what that was, but it looked like a boss, and I'm still only in iron armor. Since the village was right next to the temple, I decided to go loot that instead. But while I was looting, I realized that it was very close to night. I had to run now. Now, you're probably not thinking I was ever close to dying, but it was a lot closer than you think, and you'll see why in the morning. I don't think I really explained this before, but the reason I'm not always regenerating health is because I have to use a bandage on my limbs to heal them, and that's how you regenerate health. On the morning of day 6, I left my base, and you can see why I was in such a hurry to get back. A zombie had started building up to my base, and if I had gotten back even 5 seconds earlier, it might have been able to get into my base, which could easily mean my death. I started off day 6 as usual, by exploring. I found this tower, but it didn't have anything valuable in it. Then luck must not have been on my side, because I found literally nothing else the rest of the day. That night, I had an idea. If I made a portal to the Undergarden, which is a different dimension, I should be able to hide in there all night, right? So, on the morning of day 7, I took all the stuff from my base and left. I decided to put the portal in the jungle village close to the waste stone. I spawned in a barren abyss and quickly built a base around the portal because there are some hostile creatures in this dimension. On day 8, I haven't yet figured out how to tell the time because my clock isn't moving, so I just stay in the Undergarden for most of the day. When I finally realize that it's day 8, I quickly head through the portal to use what's left of the day. All I really did for the rest of the day was loot the jungle village. I don't know why, but I didn't collect any wood to build my base up some more. Soon enough, it was almost nighttime, so I headed back through the portal. I spent all night and some of day 9 trying to farm the enemies in this dimension so I could get better armor, but of course, something had to go wrong. While I was farming the enemies, I somehow managed to burn down part of my base, and in doing so, lost half my health. After that, I went back to the desert village to collect more wool and string so I could make more bandages. But then, a zombie with over 700 health started attacking the village, so I just left. For the night of day 9, I just kept trying and failing to farm the enemies in the Undergarden. On the morning of day 10, I for some reason had my roller skates on while at the top of my base, so I fell off. That fall nearly killed me, because if I lose all the health in my head or body, I will die instantly. Because of that fall, I had to go back to the desert village and collect more bandages, which took up all of day 10. I then just sat in my base for the entire night. On day 11, I went and collected some wood to repair and expand my base. Then I went off exploring and found this small house. It had this frost robe in it, which was pretty cool, but I think I completely forgot I had it because I never used it. When I got home, I expanded my base. After expanding my base, it was day 12, so I headed off to explore the world some more. After a short time exploring, I found a small house that had a horse flute in it, which would allow me to store and summon a horse whenever I wanted. But then a thunderstorm started, meaning hostile mobs could spawn, so I had to quickly rush back to my base. I was able to get home without much trouble, and for the rest of day 12, I just sat in my base. On day 13, I found and tamed a horse to use with my horse flute. After exploring for all of day 13, my new goal was to get an enchantment infuser, which acted like an enchantment table, but allowed you to select the enchantments you wanted. So I spent all of days 14 through 18 collecting the necessary items. After crafting enchantment infuser, I now need a ton of experience and to kill a ton of Undergarden creatures to get the armor mentioned earlier. I then, for the next 10 days, just fished and killed Undergarden creatures. But farming Undergarden creatures didn't go as well as I would have liked. Well, that was a really close encounter, and I was actually shaking after that, because it all could have just ended so fast. But finally, on the 28th day, I was able to craft a full set of armor, and I used most of the experience to put an enchantment on my horse that would allow it to heal me when I was near it. On day 29, I went off exploring again, because I was really bored of just sitting in my base. But all I found of any value was a potion of wind charging and a splash potion of Turtle Master. On day 30, I continued exploring, finding one of these blue towers that can have diamond armor in them, but this tower didn't have much, so I just headed back home and fished some more. On day 31, I realized just how small my base was, so I went and collected wood and expanded it. Then I realized that I could move the portal from below my base to in my base, and it should still go back to the same portal in the overworld. On day 32, I go through the portal, but instead of taking me to the original portal, it takes me into a random cave, so I panic and dig up to the surface. When I get to the surface, there are some mobs, but I lose some health in the process. Hoping that if I break the portal in the cave, the one in my base will take me to the original portal instead, I enter the portal once again. So, now what? I'm trapped under sand with mining fatigue 2, and I'm at 2 hearts. I don't know how I'm gonna get out of this. Okay, I have 2 ideas to maybe get out of this, but neither of them are very likely to save me. My first idea is that potion of Turtle Master I got earlier. I could maybe survive long enough to break the block with that. Well, that's just not gonna work. It's gonna take way too long to break the block. This is just how my world's gonna end. To sand. Seriously? I have one last idea, and it's to use the horse flute to somehow glitch out of the walls, but I don't think that's gonna work. Well, I guess that's just how it ends. That has to be the worst way I've ever died in a hardcore world. I could have died to one of the powerful bosses, or a random mob with 1000 HP, but no, I had to die to sand. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will probably be attempting this again soon, but that world was really stressful. I was constantly worried I would just get one hit by something, but it was also very fun. And if you didn't notice, what's behind me is the portal I went through right before I died.